And finally, at number 1, I have Toy Battle by Paolo Mori and Alessandro Zucchini. And this is a 2-player only, kind of area control, kind of lane battler style game. And I have to say, I think Paolo Mori and Alessandro Zucchini have really hit their stride recently. I'm enjoying pretty much everything they're putting out. And especially when it comes to Paolo Mori 2-player games, I think he's on a complete different level than anyone else in the business right now. You know, you think of games like Match of the Century, Caesar Sees Rome, of course Blitzkrieg. Again, he is putting out phenomenal stuff. Now, Toy Battle is a step down in terms of the complexity, if I'm to compare it to those other games. But there is certainly some hidden depth and some hidden layers here that you will start to discover the more you play this game. And when I first read the rules, and even when I first played this game, I thought, is that all there is? Because there is pretty much, the rule ceiling is so low and it's easy to understand, because all you're doing is you're either drawing tiles or you're placing tiles onto the map. Now, what you're trying to do in this game is you are trying to reach your opponent's base to win instantly, or you are trying to collect a certain amount of stars to win instantly. So it does have 2 kind of sudden death mechanisms. And normally if you're going for one, you'll be weaker in the other kind of realm of victory. Now, when you are placing these tiles onto the map, each of these tiles depicts a very cute toy, and they'll have their own strength value as well as their own special ability. And as you can imagine, normally the weaker tiles will come with slightly more useful special abilities. So for example, you've got these like toy soldiers that will give you back-to-back turns, or the unicorn that will let you draw tiles passively rather than spending your whole turn doing it. You've got like the, I think there's a little monkey that can parachute anywhere on the map, because normally you can only ever expand off if you can chain back to your base. And you've got things that can kind of get rid of your tiles from your opponent's rack or remove players' pieces from the board. Even this little rubber ducky that can go on top of any piece regardless of the strength, because the kind of main combat rule in this game, if you want to call it that, is that if you've got a higher valued piece, you can place it on top of your opponent's lower valued piece. So that's all there is really in terms of controlling these different spots onto the map. So the game is lightning quick. You're only talking around, maybe 10 to 15 minutes per game. But the game does give you lots of variety in terms of different maps to play with, because I think there's 8 maps in the base game alone, and they all do have their own different flavour. Some zones or some certain areas you can claim will give you an instant special ability, or of course the simple route building is different based on the roads and paths that you can take and you can follow to try and reach your opponent's base. I like the way that this game kind of creates little bottlenecks and so on, and if there's loads of focus going on over here in terms of conflict, you might want to be a bit crafty and sneak around the edges, maybe use that soldier to do a back-to-back turn and capture your opponent off guard. But what I really like about this game, and I think maybe it's going to fly under the radar, is the kind of the tempo, because it only has that kind of 2-action system, either draw tiles or place a tile. You need to be making sure that you have your coffers filled up with pieces to play with, but the more you fill up means you're neglecting the board state that your opponent might capitalise on, meaning that those pieces that will let you draw tiles are super useful. And it normally comes down to a little bit of a game of attrition, where you've mistimed things, which is when your opponent will just sneak in and grab the victory. And now, I suppose when you look at this game, it is actually pretty cutthroat. But what I love about it is that it is so disarming, because not only does the visual appeal, it's certainly very charming. It has this kind of child-friendly toy battle, of course, and the speed itself also is disarming, because although you are of course butting heads with your opponent, the game's over so quick that if you do make a mistake, you don't really punish yourself too much, and you can just re-rack and just go again, maybe try a different map, and so on. So the more I play this game, the more I like it, the more I'm starting to find little meta rules that will start to develop, or little wrinkles that I didn't quite consider before. And again, I think if you don't give this game a chance, I think you are going to miss something. As if you play it once or twice and you think it's too light, I think you could maybe not grasp the full experience of Toy Battle. But I think if you give it a fair shot, maybe try a couple of those maps, play around with some of the different units, then I think that penny will drop and you'll see there's actually something quite special about this game, and it's super clever, and I love the way it's just kept so simple. And that does actually feel very different to any other two-player game out there that I've played. It doesn't follow the the tug of war system. It doesn't follow the the Lost City system. It kind of carves out its own little niche in the two-player sector of the hobby. So really recommend this one. If you want a unique two-player game in your collection, I'd definitely say give Toy Battle a look. Great value in terms of the replayability. And I'm really excited to see if they will just release little expansion packs to add new toys into the game, which will give you different rule-breaking powers. Or, of course, they can forever make new maps for this game as well to keep injecting life into this very pure system. So 2 thumbs up from me. Highly recommend it. That is Toy Battle at number 1.